Welcome to
Succeed Even If. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna McLeod.
This episode is Succeed Even If You Must Take Action While You're in a Low Mood, Feeling Overwhelmed. Johanna, when's the time that you were feeling in a low mood and you still had to do something?
I had to get up earlier than I usually do in order to give insulin to my cat.
Oh, I see. So to preserve your cat's life,
Yes,
you had to change your schedule around
all around.
and you had to push yourself even though you were exhausted in the morning.
That's right.
Well, I'm with you. And the important thing that we see here is that when you have to take action, even if you are in a low mood, even if you are feeling overwhelmed, is that how you go about using strategy to build yourself up, strengthen yourself so that even if you don't feel good, you feel capable. So we're going to use the word get. We need to get stronger. G-E-T. The first letter is G, and it stands for gather your resources. Sometimes we don't really realize that our resources are a whole spectrum of elements of our life. Our resources can include, like, there's a particular friend who always lifts your spirit. So you can make sure that during your tough week, you have conversations, maybe a brief phone call. I have a particular friend, we have kind of a tradition of talking to each other on Thursday nights. This always brightens my day, brightens my week. And that's one of the resources, to actually step away from work and step away from topics dealing with work and focus on something that's uplifting and see that there's a whole world out there to talk about. There's art and film and enjoyable activities and adventures to talk about, instead of just talking about how are we going to make strides forward with business initiatives. Those things are important, but that's not all of life. When you gather your resources, you look at even taking a daily walk is a resource. It's a resource of renewal, a resource of energy. It's a resource of support for a major resource in your life, which is your body. Our next method begins with E. This is engage repeated activity and recovery. Repeated activity and recovery is so important because we realize that many of us are walking on the edge of total depletion. Sleep deprivation. We get really intense, and what do we drop? We may drop exercise. We may drop activities with friends. We may drop those things that lift our spirits. So if things get really intense at work and we have super deadlines, we tend to drop the afternoon walk on your break.
It seems like we drop the things that we need most.
Exactly. And that's not going to be sustainable. That's not going to function. And particularly if you notice that you have a low mood, you realize that often if you have a low mood, it's contagious, which means that you don't get a yes from a prospective client. You don't get a yes from a coworker. You don't get a yes from a co-founder, whoever you need a yes from, because your low mood brings them down.
It's like you're an emotional sink.
Like a sinkhole.
Yes.
Right. You may be doing your best to put on a smile and to pretend, but people can feel vibes. They can feel the vibrations. They can feel that something's off and they don't feel good around you and they don't know why. But they might avoid talking to you, or they might avoid bringing up certain topics that you need to hear about because they just don't want to deal with it. So we must have activity and then recovery, activity, then recovery, activity, then recovery. It's got to be regular. It's got to be something that means that you will feel better. I find for myself that I will actually engage with assembling a jigsaw puzzle while listening to certain dialogue from a certain program as if I was listening to radio. That works for me because I also write dialogue. I'm a novelist, among other things I do, and that renews my energy. You need to find that individual pattern or routine that brings up your energy. And you need to engage in that repeatedly. And if you're an introvert, then you realize that you need recovery after you have some with people time. If you have some intense meetings in the afternoon, you would need recovery time. Especially you would need some quiet time or recovery time on your own before you go out that evening to a networking event. Activity, recovery, and then the third letter of GET is tune into purpose and a principle. There are times where we just must do certain actions, even if we have a low mood. However, you might say that our mind or our soul, whatever you want to say, notices the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are acting aligned with your purpose, for example, my purpose has always been embodied for decades in this phrase. I help people experience enthusiasm, love, and wisdom to fulfill big dreams. That is my purpose.
Sounds like a great purpose.
Thank you. And it's been with me for decades. When I'm on purpose, I have a source of energy. I have a source of clarity. I have a source of comfort that I am on my path. I'm aligned with higher power. I'm aligned with goodness of the universe. That gives me some energy. My mood might not be elevated like whoosh.
Mood hasn't caught up yet, huh?
Yes, in fact, there's a phrase I say, my spirit's great. My body is catching up. The idea is we focus on purpose, and that can empower us on the mind level, on the total person level. And then a principle. For example, often it takes less time to do something than to dread it.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a principle that somebody might use. It'll take less time to do it than to dread it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can help you. If there is something that I can do immediately and just get it off the plate so I don't have different duties or commitments that are hanging over my head. If I say in a conversation on the phone, I'll send that to you, I'll actually aim to send the thing during the conversation, or I will make a commitment. I'll get that out to you within the hour. And the reason why I say hour is because I might not be able to get it done the very next minute after the phone call is done. One time I said, I'll get that out to you within 3 hours, because it was in the middle of the day and I have to be fluid and flexible to see what a team member is bringing to my attention, but I will get it done. And the idea is by getting this thing done, I don't have to worry about it anymore. The old phrase, many authors who have written about time management have said, if you can do it in 2 minutes, just get it done. So you find whatever principle or whatever principles you want to act in alignment with. You do this automatically. And by doing that,
Sounds like repetition is key here.
because if it's automatic, you don't even have to make the decision again. You've made the decision once, and therefore you don't need that energy. Something that's been noted with lots of research is that the brain wants to conserve energy. So if you make the decision once, you create a routine, and then you just automatically do things. For example, if you had the automatic plan that when you close a transaction and you say, I'll get the invoice out to you within the next half an hour. If that is your automatic routine, you won't end up with a stack of invoices to send out. And therefore, you won't make mistakes in terms of not having enough money coming in. You won't forget about what you agreed to for the particular invoice details. And you will be able to move forward because it is a routine, which means you're not deciding about it. Am I going to do this? Am I not going to do it? You'll be able to do it automatically, and that will conserve energy too. So you don't need to wait or build up strength to get it done. It's an automatic thing. That's a principle. Do things by setting an automatic routine. By the way, this looks like an opportunity for a Marku moment. That's when I share an excerpt from one of my 48 books that are up on Amazon right now. The book we're going to talk about is Darkest Secrets of Making a Pitch for Film and Television. The subtitle is How You Can Get a Studio Executive, Producer, Name Actor, or Private Investor to Say Yes to Your Project. Now, this book is one of my favorite books that I've written, and it applies to anybody making a pitch in a number of industries because there are certain principles that apply to any situation in which you are pitching a project, an initiative, a proposal, whatever that is. On page 43, Darkest Secret number 7, some people will try to make you fail. Researchers note that most people demonstrate a natural resistance to new ideas, and resistance in a vile form comes out as a listener trying to make you fail. They'll interrupt you, make you wait in the lobby until you feel small and powerless, or even ridicule what you're saying. Why do people resist? Because they want to assert their autonomy. If someone's new idea pushes on their current biases or even pushes them to get out of inertia to commit to pledge funds, people often feel threatened. Many times you're presenting to someone who has greater wealth and higher status. How do they use that? They demonstrate their power. So another thing I want to share is on page 61. Overcome the 6 rapport breakers and get the audience on your side. Here are the 6 rapport breakers. And I've formed these as questions. Are you talking too much about yourself? Are you using a fake smile? Are you hesitating? Do you lack energy? Are you complaining or telling poor me stories? Have you dressed effectively? So in each of these areas, one can do what is effective and avoid making a mistake, and one can avoid breaking rapport with the person that you're making the pitch to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of this excerpt from my book, Darkest Secrets of Making a Pitch for Film and Television. The subtitle is How You Can Get a Studio Executive, Producer, Name Actor, or Private Investor to Say Yes to Your Project. So Joanna, I'm curious, what are you going to keep from our conversation?
I really like the idea of going back and forth from activity to recovery.
Excellent. I agree. It's crucial that we realize that we're like a battery that has to be recharged frequently.
Mm-hmm.
So you expend energy and you have to recover that energy so that you can then give forth more energy in the next situation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Tom. This broadcast is brought to you by Tom's online course at udemy.com.
Yes, I'm really excited about my online course. It's called Your Secret Charisma. More confidence and more sales. My other courses include Success Secrets, Confidence and Skills to Handle Toxic People. Another course is Darkest Secrets of Persuasion and Seduction Masters, How to Protect Yourself and Turn the Power to Good. And another course is Darkest Secrets of Film Directing.
Click to subscribe to this channel.
And then you'll be supporting Johanna, me, and our message.
Tom helps people in other ways.
As a spoken word strategist and executive coach, I help people really connect and get yes. I help them with their speeches, pitches, video marketing, and networking. And I help them prepare for that crucial life-changing meeting. As you're ready to go to the next step, see special videos, find out about my books and coaching at getthebigyes.com/next step.
And so remember,
Perform at your best with words, strategy, and rehearsal.
for your success.